Now I request Mr. Pankaj Gauba, Regional Vice President, SEA and India, Tableau Software. Pankaj is a strong business leader who is trusted and has the ability to influence desired outcomes. Working through and with people is his biggest motivator. Having built businesses and teams from scratch helped him empathize with the ground realities in most business situations. Strong control over all forms of communication makes him unambiguous and firm when leading teams or with customers.
I'm going to spend the next few minutes kind of taking you through what the opportunity that we see and how we can work together to maximize that opportunity. A brief notice of confidentiality regarding what you will hear and what I will be sharing, which is a standard practice. I'm sure most of you are familiar with these things, and I would want you to just glance and read through this before I proceed to my next slide. Okay, with that, let me proceed. First and foremost, a huge thank you to the entire Savix team, right from Anil Jagasia to Jayan Bhai, Ronak, Atul, everyone who gave us this opportunity to come and present to you what we have to offer. The whole objective of my presentation would be to create some interest, make you a little more aware of what partnership with Tableau would mean, so that you have a better informed decision when you go down the path of trying to invest in our technology and partnership. This is just to set some context on why it is becoming more and more critical to understand how the data space is evolving. So let me explain to you what this slide is trying to tell. A typical iPad Air has about 128 GB of memory, and that's about 0.29 inches thick. So just for argument's sake, if you stack up the memory that's there on the globe today, which is about 4.4 zettabytes, or rather not today, actually in 2013, and if you just stack that up in terms of the amount of memory, we would reach about two-thirds the distance of Moon. Zoom into 2025, the projection of the memory on Earth is going to be 175 zettabytes, which is 26.25 stacks of the distance between Earth to Moon. Let me also tell you, this study was done prior to pandemic. And all of you are aware that the pandemic has really fast forwarded the digital transformation. So I can tell you that this 2025 date is also going to get condensed, and we will probably by 2025 there might be 35 stacks to the Moon if you just stack up the memory that's going to be there on the Earth. So this just to set context why the data business is going to be very, very in the forefront and very relevant. So at Tableau, this is what we stand for. This is our mission statement that you see. We help people see and understand data. You see that glow around people. So it's all about our belief that all of us work with people. And if you empower people with tools which can help them use their mind, they become more productive and we get more out of them. So this is the cornerstone of our belief right since beginning of how do you empower people. And hence we've gone down the path of creating tools which are easy to use and can be used by almost any knowledge worker. Innovation is very critical in software business. For those of you who already deal in software business would have realized what Outlook was or mail was maybe 10 years back is way different than it is today. So innovation is very, very key to any software company. And this just gives you a brief overview on how our software has evolved and continues to evolve. So there's a very strong focus from Tableau to invest and constantly improvise the product based on customer needs, based on bugs, fixes. So it's a constantly evolving model. The product which was launched way back when the company started to what it is today is very, very different and very, very evolved, which serves the needs of the customers today. These charts are very familiar, right? And I think I just wanted to get a little contextual as I as I get deeper into my presentation, which is basically all of us have seen these charts when the pandemic hit, right? The first thing that people did was they turned to data. They started looking at data, they set up data hubs, they started capturing data. You had Arogya Setu, which got launched, which was nothing but accumulation of data. And once you get the data, then you do your planning, then you do your execution, and so on and so forth. So actually, the pandemic brought the relevance of our technology even more to people, to organizations, to public sector, to people who are in administration. It made things way, way easier for them. So I think the pandemic, in a way, has helped people appreciate the importance of managing and studying data or analyzing data. It created a public health crisis, which obviously created a business crisis, which resulted in an economic crisis, right? So it was a wake-up call, and the community really rose to the occasion to use the best tools available in the market to see how do you wade through this crisis. And what it led to, what we are hearing today, is a digital transformation, right? All of us are seeing it around us. In India, fortunately, we are far ahead of the curve. I personally feel we have embraced digital transformation in our day-to-day lives, whether it is in the banking field, or it's in the retail field, in the food ordering business, or so on and so forth. We are very comfortable doing that, right? I think it is going to get accentuated many times more, whether it is basically communication with your teams, or making some critical decision. Digital communications are going to be in the forefront. And the key part is, whenever there's a digital transformation, it is a data transformation, right? You are getting information out of the data, and you are then taking your decisions. You're not relying on hunch, and you're not relying on gut. You're relying on absolute data, and that's how you're taking your decisions. I think we have been in a leadership position ever since we started the company, and this is the recent 2020 Gartner Magic Quadrant report. You see there, we sit very nicely in the Magic Quadrant on most of the parameters which would Gartner measures, which is ease of use, significant platform expansion, the community that we have, which is globally considered to be a very, very strong community, the Tableau community, and the adoption that has happened of the technology at scale, in terms of the way there are learning modules available, there are institutions available who teach on Tableau. So I think from a skill perspective, it is an established play that's there. Having said this context, I also wanted to tell you there was a recent study done, which is as recent as just about a couple of months back, as organizations are coming out of the pandemic, right? You can see the statistics that are there. 82% of the data driven companies in the region, and when I say region, it's across Asia Pacific, including India. This was a mix of survey done in mature markets in APJ, as well as some developing markets. 82% of the data driven companies in the region have reported reaping critical business advantage during the pandemic phase, as opposed to only 39% of non data driven companies who could say the same. And 63% of the data driven companies are very optimistic about the future of health of their business because they had invested in data ahead of time. So I think this is going to become more and more imperative, and I don't think it'll be an or option. It will be a mandatory option for all companies to embrace data tools. The beauty about our software is the deployment. We have all the possible available deployment. You want it on premise, you want it in a public cloud, you want it online, it's all available. It's multi-platform technology, multiple data sources that it can read and interpret and analyze your data. And lastly, the querying, both live querying and in-memory querying. So net, the message I'm trying to give you here, it's a very evolved product, very established product, and it has already factored most of the maturity models that are there for our customers to embrace the technology and take maximum benefit out of it. Whom do we serve? I think this is the most critical slide. Okay. I think you can pretty much map any customer for a requirement of a data analytics tool, because data is being gathered in every segment. So you can see here whether it's academic, media, energy, financial services, life sciences, public sector. And let me tell you, these industry segments which I'm mentioning, uh, actually all of these have use cases. You can see the URL down in the slide. You can Take note of it. This is on our public website, and you can actually go and drill down by segment, and you can see a case study. And you will be pleasantly surprised that right next door to you, there are similar kind of businesses which are running and they have yet to embrace data. So I think it's important for you to start looking at data as a horizontal offering, and it's not very stuck to any particular segment of the market. Let's come down to India and let's talk business moving forward. Uh, as I was mentioning, we have been in India for almost 7 years now, and we have really kind of gained the accolades and equity of a lot of brands in India. These are some of the customers that you see who all are embracing our technology, both international firms and local firms who are using our technology day in and day out. And let me tell you, there are a host of names. I mean, I obviously could not get all the logos on the slide, but just to let you know that we serve cross section of the market in terms of customers, and which I will show you what's our go to market model, what's our structure, so that you'll have a better understanding of the same. So what's our go to market model? At Tableau in India, we have sales team which cover enterprise, mid market, general business, SMB. That's the classical pyramid that you see from most vendors: top customers, mid market customers, general business, and SMB. So we serve almost the entire spectrum of the market. The sales team is supported by a pre-sales team. These are all Tableau resources based in India. We have customer success managers for some of our large customers, where we ensure that they embrace the technology, they adopt the technology, and they grow the footprint of our technology within their organization. We have partner managers to take care of our partner. We already are a very strong partner business in the country. And we have a renewal sales team, which also works with the partners to drive the renewals, because we are a subscription model. From a partner eco standpoint, we just appointed Savix. We're very proud to have them on board as our value-added distributor. Savix has made a very big leap of faith in investing ahead of time. They have a sales team, pre-sales team, renewals team, and a customer success team. So they're pretty much replicating the structure what Tableau has, because I think they see the merit in where this technology is going to be in the future. So I think we have a strong distributor who can help our partners as well grow their business. We have a framework called Tableau Partner Network, which was launched early this year. We'll be bringing it to India sometime in 2021, which is basically nothing but our partner program. We have our value added resellers. We have existing resellers already doing our business. We invest in partner marketing funds and partner readiness to ensure the partners who come on board are enabled and are able to serve the customers as good as what we would do. What's our reseller expansion plan, which is very important for all of you to take note. Uh, so if you see the markets that are showing up on the screen, you would see that typically we have picked up, we are actually going down the path of expanding our footprint in the tier 2 and tier 3, and that's what you see on the slide here. So our priority is the tier 2 and tier 3, where we feel there's a huge untapped potential. And given the customer segments that I showed you is very broad, we can find customers in each of these markets. The beauty is the low cost of the product, right? Billed annually, but the monthly charges are less than probably a phone and fuel bills, right? So that's where our product is priced. So it's very easy as long as you're able to explain the value proposition to the customer and ensure he is able to use it on a daily basis, because this is something that you will use on a daily basis. A lot of new logos we will acquire because our footprint in these markets is not very high. So that's what makes our time investment very, very good, because we will acquire new logos. It's a very easy and fast deployment. I told you it depends on what the customer's environment is, whether it's on premise, on cloud, or in online, whichever way he would want to use it. A lot of e-learning tools. So even if you go on YouTube or you look at the neighborhood IT training institute, a lot of training and content is available on Tableau. So the skill availability is not a challenge, as long as you are able to, nurture a customer and take him on the data journey path. Key success factors: if you are interested and want to take the discussion further, you must reach out to Firoz and team at Savix, who are helping us execute the model. But there are a few things that I want you to keep in mind. We are seeking investment, dedicated, skilled, and relevant resources. Each of these words has a lot of meaning. Uh, this is a very different science and a very different product. So it's not a volume business, it's not something a fulfillment business. You will have to invest in relevant people who can talk the data language. So that's one thing that you need to be very, very aware if you're planning to get into a Tableau kind of a business. Data business is more of a practice. So Tableau is the most visible part of the story, right? There is data prep, that is data warehousing. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens behind. What you see in a dashboard is the finished goods, is the final product. But there's lots that happens behind, and there are separate technologies. So you need to really think through how are you going to involve yourself or build this part for your own self. Digital transformation again is a business model by itself. So if you have embraced that, you have started incubating that as as something that you need to focus on, then Tableau is a critical piece of the digital transformation. Annuity business models requires a different type of view to your business, because it's something that you reap every year, and it's very important to understand that what are the touch points required in an annuity business model. It's very different from the erstwhile perpetual business model. Customer success. So anything that you do with your customer is on a lifetime basis, because once he starts using your product, it's almost till the time his shop is open, it's always going to be there. So you have to view a little long term. So it will require sometimes investing ahead of time, and maybe sometimes doing something extra, because there is a larger view that you have of your relationship with the customer. And lastly, it's very important to understand that Tableau is not necessarily a very IT product. The modern BI world is making data very, very democratic and very, very broad based. So you need to have connections with business. Many times we land into accounts by appealing to a work group in a business user, and then we start expanding. So it's not necessarily an IT led sale. The earlier days of BI was an IT led sale when we sold Cognos, or when there were Crystal reports. That was all IT stuff. Tableau is not necessarily an IT product. It's more of a business product. It's a knowledge worker product. So it's very important for you to understand that aspect when you start building your business. So that's pretty much from my side. I hope I've been able to generate adequate interest, but keep this slide in mind, because we are very particular on how we want to onboard and where we want to onboard. I probably will go back to the slide showing you the markets that we are looking at, and we are very eager to talk. If you already have a practice, if you already have an understanding on what this is, we'll take the conversations further.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj.